Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the social structure in Egypt. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, for the social structure, at the top was the pharaoh. So the Egyptian hierarchy. Ancient Egypt was a successful culture for over 3,000 years. In the early years, there were two kingdoms that operated like two different countries. Each had a ruler and had their own religious beliefs and the ways of doing things. After the two kingdoms were united, they became a lot more organized and over the years developed a system of what is called a hierarchy. This is a class system, and each person living in ancient Egypt knew where they existed in the system and had specific rights of that class. So we're going to look at these three classes first. The pharaoh was at the top, so he had all the rights, and he made a lot of the rules. So under the pharaoh and the other gods, there was a chain of command. To help the pharaoh accomplish all of his duties, there was a chief minister called the vizier, and they watched over the tax collection and monitored the government records that were kept by the scribes. Along with the vizier, there were various nobles that held government jobs and the priests of the temples. The nobles became wealthy as they kept a part of the tax, normally given to the pharaohs, as well as some of the tributes that were given by the people to the gods. So here's the pharaoh at the top. The vizier helped him run the government, and the nobles helped collect the taxes and keep order. They would keep some of the taxes. They would send the rest of them up here. The priests were on the same level as the nobles. They are not the same. The priests would help run the temples and the religion. Now, the next level down contained the scribes, craftsmen, artisans, and traders. The soldiers fought in the armies during wartime, but in peacetime, many supervised the peasants. Slaves and farmers were also part of the building process of the palaces, pyramids, and other structures. The craftsmen, artisans, traders, and even physicians were considered the middle class of ancient Egypt. Storekeepers and merchants were also included in this class. So in this part, you have the scribes. They do most of the writing and the record keeping. Everybody above the scribes would be able to read and write, but the scribes did most of the writing. The soldiers would keep the place protected in wartime, and in peacetime, they would help build things. And then you have the craftsmen. They would build everything. They'd build pottery, jewelry, buildings. You also have storekeepers, physicians who are doctors. Now, interesting that the doctors are this low. In our culture, the doctors are up a little higher. Now, the bottom of the social structure contained the farmers, and beneath them, the slaves. Farmers took care of the fields and crops, cared for the animals, maintained the water canals and reservoirs. They did stone quarry work and built monuments to the pharaoh, and monuments to the pharaoh. They paid high taxes to the pharaoh, sometimes as much as 60% of what they grew. Slaves were people that may have been war prisoners or criminals. Slavery became a part of ancient Egyptian community, and they were forced to do whatever labor that was needed by the nobles and the pharaohs. So, down at the bottom, we have the farmers and the slaves. Slaves were usually people that fought Egypt and lost that war, so that they would be captured in war, or criminals, or they were also a big section of them were Jewish people. So where Egypt got men and women having equal rights, right? They also had slaves, so that's not great, and that's a knock on ancient Egypt there. Now farmers, they were also kept pretty low, and if you heard that, they had to do a huge tax, 60%. So if you grew like 100 apples, you have to give 60 of them to the pharaoh. All right, a huge tax. All right, we're going to wrap up here by just watching this very short video. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that is a little bit about the Egypt social structures. I hope everybody learned something new about something old. Bye, everybody.